Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to All the Mods 6. So last episode, of course, we built this structure here that we're going to start using today for a bit. Just a small, pretty simple structure, but just a lot of little details to it. And we're going to start kind of populating it. And I did go ahead and open my Codex Arcana because I was wanting to look at a spell, which we're going to talk about later today. But normally what you would want to do is in this case, get your Akashic Tome, set it to the Codex Arcana, and then open that. And you'll notice that I have a little thing up here, and of course it starts raining. Always, whenever I start recording, it seems like. But you can see I have a little mana bar that's displayed up here now. You're going to get that as soon as you open your Codex Arcana for the first time, and you get this little text. As you hold the book in your hands, you feel compelled to open it. You skim through a few pages, and before you know it, hours have gone by with you reading in depth. Your mind has been opened, and you feel the currents of magical energy swirling around you. You have unlocked the secrets of the arcane. And that pretty much starts the mod for you. So that gives you your mana bar and everything, but like I said, I was wanting to just look at a spell here. Basically just to see the materials and whatnot, which we're going to be getting into. Now, what we're going to be doing, of course, is Mana and Artifice. We're going to be starting into some Mana and Artifice today, which is an absolute amazing mod. It's one of my personal favorites of the new Magic mods. There's a lot here. The main draws, the really big draws, are rituals, spellcasting, and golems, but there's a number of other things that this mod does offer. A lot of utility, a whole lot of utility, and a whole lot of actually content as well. So what we're going to do first and foremost, let's take a look at what it takes to make a rune forge, because I think I want to go ahead and just get a few of these. It's going to be stone, and then that's stone and dye. Okay, so let's pop over, and actually on that topic, what's it take to make a glyph bag? Leather string, that's going to be worth us going ahead and making, to be honest, so I am going to go ahead and make that also. Okay, so let's make ourselves a few blank glyphs. And I'm going to go ahead and use this up as well. So there's 26 of those. And then to get our glyph bag, there's that. And this is going to allow us to basically just store glyphs in it. And then let me go ahead and get just some purple glyphs. And I'll tell you what. While we're over here, let's go ahead and just get 12 of those. And then we can take those, that, and get our rune forges. You can also find these in the world, but they're so cheap to craft that you may as well. Can I put, yeah, I can put blank glyphs in there. Okay. So there's that. And then also, to get started, we are going to need to get ourselves a bunch of Ventium. Now, can this be processed in the... Yes, it can. It can be processed in ore purification. So we are going to do that. Woo! Sometimes the bounce on this is a little bit much. A little bit more than what I need in some cases. So we'll just add that in there and get that running and processing our Ventium for us. And then that will get smelted then into Ventium dust. And then while that's running, what's it take to get the Oculus? It's going to be... Except any mine colonies, glass blower, smelting product. So, okay, so any kind of glass. And then we are going to need some Ventium. So let's go ahead and grab that. And then we're going to go ahead and get our Oculus. And then in addition, what's it take to get our mana weaving stuff? The mana weaving altar... is stone, concrete powder, and water. And I'm going to have to pop over and get some more sand real quick. And we're just going to go with some purple concrete. There is our mana weaving altar. Go ahead and get that out of the way. And then our mana weaver wand. This is going to take Ventium ingots. So, alright. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and just make a bit of this Ventium ingots. Because we are going to need that. So there's that. We'll smelt that up here in a minute to get the wand. And then Nanoweave Projectors. These take stone, glass, Ventium ingots. Yeah, I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and make a bit more of this actually. Because we're going to end up needing a bit of it. And Nanoweave Projectors are something, we're going to get into those here in just a little bit, but that is something that I do suggest you make quite a few of. And then I'm going to need to get some paper, some flint, and some bones. And then I may as well get a bunch of leather. And this is a mod, you're going to have a lot of things that you're using. So you can tell we're already filling up our inventory pretty quickly. And then what's it take to get the inscription table, some carpet stuff. Okay. Okay, there's our inscription table. And then I think the last thing I want to look up is what does it take to make, I can't remember the full name. It's the ink though. It's like rune scribing ink or something. Been a little bit since I've done this mod, so I don't remember half the recipes and such. We're also going to need a bunch of these flowers. We're going to get into that. I actually think I've got a lot of Tarma root, maybe? Oh, there it is. Arcanist Ink. Okay, this, I think the only thing we're going to need specifically that we don't already have on us is the flowers, the ink sacs, and the bottles. And we don't need a ton of this stuff either, for that matter, so. Okay, yeah, I've got a bit of Sarah Blossom and a bit of Tarma root. I think that we can farm these, yes, within botany pots. So that is something that we will be setting up at some point, is some botany pots to get these things growing, because we will, over time, we will be using a lot of this stuff. So let's pop over to here now. And we are going to set up our inscription table and our oculus, I think. We'll put these kind of right as you walk in because we'll be using these a lot. So the oculus and the inscription table there. Inscription table, this is where we're going to make our spells, which we're going to get into. Then the oculus, this is going to tell us basically how we tier up. Because within Mana and Artifice, if you're familiar with Ars Magica, you kind of level in a similar fashion. So you have to do things to level up. Now you have levels and tiers. If you look right up here, you can see that I'm level 1. As far as magic goes, I have 110 mana. That's our level, and that's going to go up as we cast spells, which we'll get into. And then our tier, I think this goes up to like tier 5 if I recall. And your tier is going to be done by basically doing these things. This is for progressing on to tier 2. We have to complete 10 of these 12 tasks in here. So most of these are pretty simple once we get rolling. But this mod, it does take a little while to kind of go through stuff. Now, you'll also notice as we go up in tier, we unlock a variety of new spells. We unlock new rituals. We unlock new Nanoweave patterns, new items that we can craft. And then we'll get rune scribing starting at tier 2. We'll get rune smithing starting at tier 2. We'll get construct starting at tier 2. And enchanting starting at tier 2. So a lot of different things, and you can see once we hit tier 5, we can pretty much go through and get all sorts of really nice enchantments, including looting, fortune. I don't believe that mending is in here, right? Let me double check. But I believe because it's a treasure enchant, it doesn't show up in this. No, there is mending right here. My bad. So it's a tier 5. So once we hit tier 5, we'll be able to do lots of big enchants. So what we're going to do, first and foremost, we're going to take our rune forges, and I love these blocks. I love the way that they look. They just look great. We are going to set these up kind of like here, and actually instead of right there, let me remove this. We're going to do rune forges there, rune forges there, and have the inscription table there. I think that'll be nice. And you'll notice that this doesn't take a full stack. It's going to take 16 items at a time. And I don't think that this has any use really now, beyond just smelting it. So we're going to go ahead and just smelt up all of this. We're also going to take some bones and get those smelting as well, because that's going to get us some bone ash. Now the way that the rune forges work, they do smelt things at a lot slower rate than a furnace, but they do so without needing any fuel. Also certain things such as bone ash, if we take a look here, I believe this is only smeltable through the arcane furnace. So you will need these rune forges regardless. So, and based on how many items you put into this, it's going to change the amount of time that it takes. Now while that's running, let's go ahead and get ourselves this. We're going to need another special material, And this one, I'll tell you what, just because, woo, there's no, it's all or nothing with this wand, I swear. It's just like shoot into the sky. I mean, if you do it at an angle, you know, you don't shoot so high. But if you just need to like go up a couple blocks, you're going up all the blocks, up into space, basically. I think what I'm going to do for water, because we are going to need a really convenient water source, or it will be handy anyways. We're going to set one up right in here. And I'm not really sure what blocks I want to use for these frames, so for right now we're just going to do that. But we're going to put our water into there, and I'll probably change the block underneath that also. But if you take leather, those rats are so annoying. If you take leather and you throw it into water and you give it a second, I'm sorry, it's right click. I was thinking it was throw it in. You right click it, we can get vellum paper here. Just by using that on the water. It never consumes the water, so just a single block of water is fine. And I may bring those supports all the way up, kind of like a little whale in here. I might even shift it back to say right here. Maybe. We'll see. So that may get moved. But so we got our vellum paper. If we open up the inscription table, we're going to take our vellum and we're going to place that right into there. Now we're also going to need... we're going to need some Arcane Compound. We're going to have to smelt that into some Arcane Ash. But it multiplies. You can see this makes 4, and then that makes 4. So it does go pretty far. And to do this, we're going to need some Bone Ash, some Ventium Dust, and one of the flowers. Now that's where the bones come in. You can see we got 64 Bone Ash from smelting up 16 bones. And then let's go ahead. Really, I could just do 4. That, and then any kind of the Mana and Artifice plants. Doesn't really matter which one. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves some Arcane Compound. Now, once again, I don't think this is used for anything aside from just smelting it, so may as well just go ahead and smelt all of it. I think if we lay out our spell, it will save it though, right? So if I did like self and I closed it, it does save it. Okay, so we can make either a self or touch spell. Since we're only a tier 1, we can only do self and touch. We're actually going to be making a touch spell, and that's the range. So it's like a 3-block range that you can touch. It's not just directly next to something. And there's a few different options that we have here for tier 1. There's fire damage, break, fling, gust, light, slow, crystallize, collapse, earth sky, summon workbench, and felled oak. Now most of these are pretty self-explanatory. Some of the really big ones that I would suggest is fling. If you don't have something like dash, for example, dash is like super fling. Fling is really good because it lets you, you know, it's kind of like the air sigil from blood magic, so you can shoot around. Light is nice for caving, of course. Crystallize is really, really nice, and something that we will probably use, because if you don't have something that can capture and transport mobs, Crystallize will allow you to do that basically just at the cost of a diamond. It's super nice. Collapse, we're going to try something out with that today. Earth Sky, we'll probably do a little bit with that. It's where you can basically, it's kind of like Shard of Laputa from Britannia, just somewhat on a smaller scale. Summon Workbench is pretty nice, just for being able to summon a, a table. Felled Oak, of course, since we have Vein Mine, it's not that great. Break is good, but more so later. We'll use that a bit. But we're going to be going with a touch spell that's Collapse. And what this does is this basically causes things to fall as if they were sand or gravel. So quite nice. And you can see here there's a mana cost. There's no delay, so we can do this just as much as we want. There's a mana cost of 22.5, so of this mana. And you can see a cost on ink, a cost on vellum paper, and a cost on our ash that we're making. Now, in addition, we are going to need a few things. We'll talk more about these later once we get everything set up. It looks like this is still... Oh, this one's done. The one that was only 10 is done, and this is done. You can see these things, they just take a while. So we do have some Arcane Ash now. And so we're going to take about half of our Arcane Ash, just put it into here for now. And at this point, we can also make the Mana Weaving Wand, or Mana Weaver's Wand. Let me grab a couple sticks. There we go. And this wand, we're going to be using this for a lot of our casts, and we can also use it to do some cantrips and things like that, which we're going to get into. Now it's left control and right click. Okay, so there we go. You can see that our first cantrip that we have is Ignite. So all it does is start to fire. We're going to set this to square square. You have to do at least 2 patterns, but you can add others. And as we get more cantrips, we're going to need to make them so that we can recognize them. Now, generally, I don't find a whole lot of use in cantrips, personally, because they take too long to cast, but there is a quest here to cast a cantrip. So what we can do is we can come out here with our Mana Weaving Wand and just hold right click. Yeah, see, I'm terrible at drawing these shapes. It did count that as a square, though, and we just need to cast 2 squares and then target something, and it's going to cast the cantrip. So cantrips, that's how they work. Ignite, I mean, you can use this on mobs and stuff. You know, you have a little bit of a period after you do that to target. And you don't have to draw them really as big as I'm doing like that. It saw as a circle, square. Okay, let's try this again. Boom. So you can draw small squares, or you can draw really big ones like that, or like that. And once you get kind of used to it, I mean, you can cast decently fast, but generally cantrips are kind of weak, and your mana regen's pretty fast. And yeah, I just usually like to stick with the spells for the most part. The cantrips are, some of the cantrips are nice though. Like if you find yourself needing to light something, you don't have flint and steel, just go square, square. Well, that wasn't recognized. Let me clear that out. Just left click on those patterns that are kind of floating around. So we'll do that, and then you can just like light something. So netherrack, for example, you know, where I'm building over there, where I'm using a lot of fire, of course, in this base, that cantrip will actually be kind of useful for me, because doing that is still quicker than having to pack around a flint and steel and go get that. So now you'll also notice a dark blue bar underneath my mana bar. That is my spell casting experience. So as I cast, you can see it uses just a little bit of mana, and then in addition I get a little bit of experience from that. So that's one way to level, but it's very, very slow to do that as well. Now the other way, of course, is to cast actual spells. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a thing of this Arcanus Ink. Let me get some glass bottles. And like I said, this stuff lasts pretty long time. We are going to have to make some purified Ventium dust, which is Ventium dust with arcane ash and then just a plant. We're going to go ahead and get a little bit of this, because we're actually going to use a bit of it today. Something else that you'll want to kind of keep on hand. But this ink will have durability, so it's not something that you need 6 of these per se. Okay, so at this point we are ready to make our very first actual spell, so we'll just click there, and then we'll give this just a little bit. Yeah, you can see the durability dropped on that, which if we do set up, I do want to move into Nature's Aura soon, and so we could use that to repair our Arcanist Ink that way as well. Just pack around all the repair items. And once this is finished up, you can see we have a spell recipe: Touch, Collapse, mana cost 22.5, complexity 15. Let's go ahead and take that. Now at this point, to actually turn it into a spell, we are going to have to do this big monstrosity. And to actually set this up, we are going to need to get ourselves some wizarding chalk. So we are going to need some flint. And let's get our wizard chalk. And once again, this has durability, so one of these generally going to be probably enough. And for this one, let's see, can I not, no, I can't lock it from here. I was thinking that we could lock this, but maybe not. What we're going to need to do, if we take a look at this with you, this is going to be a 9x9. You can see the X's, 3, 6, 9 there, and it's going to be 3, 6, 9 there. So we're going to be building a 9x9 ritual space. So let's come over 1, 2, 3, 4 to there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go ahead and do 5 because I should have enough space. Yeah. This is going to be the very center, and if we take a look here, we're basically going to need to do this as a 3x3. Now, it's not really apparent, but underneath this is an X. Because basically everywhere that there's an item, there is an X underneath that, because you can use this rune to store things. Okay, so just kind of bear that in mind. But we're going to go ahead and place this out. Now, I might have to move that stuff. Maybe not, actually. Yeah, I will. Because I need to come over. Yeah. Great. And then over here, like that. And then over here, like that. And right there. And then we need basically 2 like this. Oops. Break that off. Okay, so there's our ritual laid out in its entirety. Okay, and then we are going to need to get gravel, feather, sand, clay. And then we're going to need a couple pieces of Ventium, a couple Mystic Focuses. And Mystic Focuses are probably pretty cheap. Iron nuggets and glass, yeah. So we'll go ahead and get those. And then we need one other item, right? That is this right here, this Infused Silk. We're going to talk about that. But there's a little bit more involved to that. So let's go ahead and pop back over to our project. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our collapse recipe into there. And then if we take our purified Ventium dust, it is going to tell us where the items go. Okay. So we are going to put in our Ventium and our Ventium. We're going to put in our sand. I believe that's going to be our sand. Yeah. It's using like an Ore Dictionary version over there. Clay. We're going to need our gravel right here. Did you know you can right click these runes with an empty hand and it will try to pull the item it's looking? Yeah, there is that too, because we can just do that and that as well. And then right there. Okay, so all we need is the silk at this point. And to get this, to get the infused silk, you can see that this requires the mana weaving altar. We're going to need string, we're going to need wool, we're going to need a mystic focus, and then we're going to need a quadratum, which we'll talk about that here in just a moment. But let me pop over and get our string and stuff. And we're going to go ahead and set up our mana weaving altar just right in here, I think. And we're actually going to have it kind of stick out by 1 block, so right there. And we're probably going to do another one on the other side long term. And at this point, it's a great time for us to make ourselves some Nanoweave projectors, because this just makes our lives a little bit easier. We're going to need some stone, we're going to need some obsidian, and we're going to need some Ventium. So mana reservoirs, let's go ahead and get like 1, 2, 3, 6 of these, I think, for now. And if we take this and we combine it with the Nanoweave wand, we will get a Nanoweave projector. It does consume it. Okay, I couldn't remember if it consumed the Nanoweave wand or not. That's fine though. So let's go ahead and get like 5 more of these. Oh, they don't stack, that's fine. And we'll combine them. And of course you can always just move these around as needed. But really I think it's better just to set it up properly. Does this? Yeah, it saves it. So our cantrip is still set. And now if we take a look at Mana and Artifice, there is the... It's the mana weaving pattern, right? Oh, we're going to have to get that from villagers though. Well, I'll tell you what, that should be fine. Because we just need a rune scribe villager. And I actually know where one's at. So let's pop over. I'm going to need some emeralds. And I think this will be a villager we were probably going to crystallize later. Once we can make that spell a little bit easier. That way we can bring him home with us. I do believe. And we definitely got better output on our Ventium because I used a bunch already and we still have, yeah. So we definitely got a decent benefit from our luck. Might be this one, there we go. He might have what we're looking for. He has Codex Arcana. Not what I'm looking for. But he does have a Rune Forge. This is one of the places where you could get one of those. Oh, and he does have some Wake Bloom and a Desert Nova. What about this guy? There we go. He has Divisus and Octoro. Okay. Divisus is this one right here, which is actually not really used for much by default. But that's okay. And Octoro is this one, which is used a little bit. Might be worth grabbing this one. So we'll go ahead and take that. And we'll let him level and see what comes out of him for the next batch of trades. Oh, and there is a... actually, you know what? I'm going to loot this while we're here. We're going to grab ourselves another Mana Weaving Altar. And we're going to take these braziers too. And normally these villagers are a bit more important because to get your book, you have to find one of these. While I'm here, I may as well take that as well. Adnecto is this one. So we'll take that. And Divisus Propertaria Anguli. We'll take that also. Okay, he is leveling up. And now he offers Triangulus, which is going to be this one, which isn't that great because it's default setting. And we got Adamus, which is going to be this one. Also not really what I'm looking for, but that's okay. Okay, now he offers Orbeus. That's Circle. That's one that we do want. So I'm going to grab a couple of those. Triangulus, we just got Adamus, Triangulus. Oh, he gave us Triangulus again. Now we haven't gotten Quadratum, which I was really hoping to get Quadratum. I think we got we got Triangulus 3 times. Okay, that's unfortunate. But it can't be helped. So we don't have Quadratum, which is unfortunate. So I will need to find another one for Quadratum. But that's fine. I think we can do what I want to do with what we've got. And I mean, I guess worst comes to worst, for right now I can draw the squares as well. So we'll just kind of bear in mind that this place has our Runecraft Villager. Let me break this and replace it. Or not Runecraft, but Mana Master. There we go. And we'll just pop back over. And for what I want to do for right now, for making our silk, this should be okay, right? Because I think for our silk, we only needed circle. I mean square. No, that's Quadratum. No, I don't guess I have any. I'll tell you what. I do know that over in here, right there. I missed it. I missed it. Right over here is one of the structures. You know, we came by here before to get some ice kind of near this area. We got Quadratum. Okay, there we go. And the rest of the stuff, I'm going to go ahead and just put it in here. I think I grabbed some other Mana and Artifice stuff before, but I don't really know what I did with it, to be honest. Oh, and this stuff doesn't stack. I don't care about the mana potions that much. I'm going to grab that rune pattern, though, because that'll be useful for us. Okay, so of course we're still trying to make this spell, but now we should be good. Of course, all you have to do, if you want to, is literally just draw a square and put your items on here. And I guess we could go ahead and put our items in there. There is wool, string, and mystic focus. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to place this down like right there. Okay, it's going to start drawing some of my mana from me. You can see my mana bar dropped up there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our quadratum scroll and just right click that onto there. And that's going to apply it here. Now these aren't really used in anything, so if you get them once, you're good. It's just a tool that you'll want to have kind of on hand. And then what we can do is we can just right click this, and it's going to basically use the mana that's stored in there, and it's going to give a square to something nearby, and that's going to craft it. Now once again, you could just take your wand and draw a square, but we're going to try to set up Nanoweave projectors everywhere just to make our lives a bit easier. I may even make like some kind of a shelf that goes across here. That way I can just click on them. And I think that would work out better for us. Yeah, let's do that actually. Let's put this right up here. And quadratum. There we go. And then we can take our silk. So there's our infused silk. And we'll just head on out and place that in the last slot here, and then we should be good. So now, if we take a look at this spell, this takes, oh, it doesn't tell us what shape it takes, does it? That's fine. We're going to go ahead and just click our Ventium onto there, and this is going to start the ritual. There we go. And we're going to have to make some shapes. So first up is triangle. Well, guess what? We have Nanoweave projectors. And there we go. Once it fills up, we're just going to right click it, and it's going to do triangle. And there we go. It made a triangle and it sent it over. Okay, now next up, which this is going to, I'm running low on mana right now because all these things are draining my mana. This is a little bit slower initially because I don't have these set up, but that's okay. There we go. There's a square, and it finished our spell for us. So we're going to pick that up. There is our Touch Collapse spell. And we'll probably set up like kind of like a raised altar for our rituals, basically, in our Nanoweave projectors and everything. Remember, they have to be kind of close to the center of the ritual, which is what's requesting the shapes. They do have to be kind of close to that, as well as the Nanoweave altars in there. So just kind of bear that in mind. Now, if we take our spell, you can see we're going to get some nifty particle effects just holding it. But if we right-click, it's going to let us pick a icon as well as a name. So we're going to call this Basic Collapse. And for the icon, we're going to pick, let's say, I don't know, nothing really looks that much like a collapse. So we'll do one of these. So maybe this one right here. I like that. And then hit escape. And now we have Basic Collapse. And then what we can do is let's pop over to here. This is down in Atlantis. But if we take this spell and we right click a block, it's going to act like gravel and just move it. Now what I have in mind for this though, assuming that it can affect this block right now. I don't know if it has to be empowered or not. But if we did that... Oh no, it actually breaks it and doesn't give it to us. Oh, that's terrible. I was hoping that would work for us, but apparently it's not. Oh, I was thinking, well, we could bypass maybe getting netherite level pickaxe to mine that, but nope. That is not the case. But we will, I think, be able to probably mine that with Mana and Artifice, though, in due time with the break spell. But we'll see. But yeah, so that doesn't actually work the way I was intending it to. But you can see that as we use this, we're going to... There we go, we just leveled up, and now we have 120 mana. As long as it's affecting a block... This spell's not as cool or useful since I can't do that. What if I did that with like stone? Would it give me the stone? It does not. Okay. So that's something to kind of bear in mind. I have tested it, so don't make the same mistake as me. But we can click lots of blocks here and drop lots of blocks, and now we're up to magic level 3. Now if we pop back over and we take a look inside of our Oculus, we have now casted a cantrip, a spell, completed a ritual, crafted a Nanoweave wand, a Nanoweaving altar, crafted a spell with a complexity of 15 or more, crafted an inscription table, craft something at a mana weaving altar, and drew a mana weaving pattern. So at this point, we either need to just use a Bone Feather Charm, an Ender Feather Charm, or reach magic level 15. So let me see. This one, it's not the best for leveling, to be honest. I mean, we could make the charms. They're not that bad to craft. There's that one, or there is this one. Both of which are pretty good, but leveling up our magic is going to give us more mana and allow us to cast better things. So really, I think we should go with reaching level 15. That will probably be the best thing, and probably the best way to level, honestly, is going to be Fling. Because you can just get a lot of levels really, really quickly with this. So it's going to be a self-spell, Fling. We're going to go ahead and just craft that. I am going to have to make another ritual setup, but that's okay. They're not that bad to make, to be honest. So let me just do this real quick. It's going to be the exact same layout. Pretty much making all your spells... they're going to use this layout, so you can even automate something to place all this chalk out in these locations for you, because you would be using it a bit when it comes to making spells. So just a heads up there, but our spell should be made. Let's go ahead and take that, and we are going to need a book, some Om. Oh, do I have Om? I don't know if I have Om. The Runesmith Hammer, just like that. I'm kind of disappointed, like, Collapse kind of useless now. I was really hoping. I was like, man, it's gonna work. But I guess it's my fault because I don't test things in test worlds usually. I just get out in the world and I just try it. Alright. And then I'm gonna have to make a couple glyphs here. One of those. But let's see, is forest and plains. Okay. Honestly, I might have one of those because they are a super common flower. And sure enough, I do have one of them. But that's it at the moment. So I'm going to need to get some more of those. And usually, when it comes to tiering up, if there is a quest, and I think all tiers are going to have a quest that relates to just leveling up your magic skill. And I do suggest that you do that. The reason being is because if you don't have a high level magic, like I wouldn't be able to cast really good spells, right? Because I'm not going to have enough mana for good spells, basically. So I do suggest getting the levels that relate to actually just leveling up your mana skills. And we'll go ahead and get this crafted up. And this, of course, is going to ask for a couple shapes here. If it asks for squares or triangles, we can just right click. This one is asking for a circle. And if you look right here, circle is called Orbeus. So we're just going to find our Orbeus scroll, and we're going to set up our Nanoweave Projector. Smack that. And then just right click there, and that's going to make it for us. Uses a little bit more mana than if you did it yourself, but that's okay. Now it wants our bias again, so we're going to click that again. Some of these spells you'll have to make a bunch of shapes, and sometimes you're going to get into a little bit more advanced shapes as well. And there's triangle. Keep these topped off, and there we go. There was our Fling spell. Something else worth noting, if you take a look at the bottom right, you are going to see Affinity. That's going to become a little bit more important later, but right now you can see I have 1.6% Earth Affinity. So let's go ahead and right click this, and we're going to call this Basic Fling. And we'll go with actually this one. There we go. And we'll close that out. And now we can use this. You can see that it has no cooldown, and you are going to level up pretty decently fast. You can kind of eat through your mana without needing a block for that. On its own, not a great spell, because you do kind of run through your mana pretty quick. And you don't really get all that far, right? So, but we did hit level 4. And you'll notice at the bottom right now, I have a 0.7 Earth Affinity and a 1.9% Air Affinity. It's kind of useful for that, though. So, kind of getting up a few blocks when my my War Staff doesn't do it. And so at this point, we basically just need to use these basic spells until we reach level 15. Not the most exciting thing. I mean, if you go with using one of the charms, it's a whole lot quicker to get your tier up. But like I said, you are going to benefit a lot from having a nice high level with your magic. And that is something that we are going to have, you know, to cast better spells. We're going to have a good mana level. Plus, it's going to give us more mana for casting spells, thus making them even better. So, and you don't actually have to go anywhere. You can just look down and do this. And if you want to, you can always, something that I might suggest that you do, especially if you have to do a lot of levels, is put something on your mouse, on your right mouse button, and just go AFK. Go eat dinner or something like that, and you'll come back, you'll have a bunch of levels using Fling. So, I do like the leveling mechanic, and it's a little bit more interesting after this tier because we're going to get some better spells, but right now, I think probably the best option if you are wanting to level while actually doing something, Break is a really good one. Light is pretty good if you're going caving. And then if you don't have Vein Mine, you know, chopping down whole trees. If you want to use it for fire damage, which is actually pretty good damage, 5 damage. So it is, what, about on par with, like, say, an Iron Sword, right? That's, by default, that's 6 damage. So you're going to be dealing almost as much damage as Fire Sword. As a touch spell, mana cost 22.5. And you can see that my mana cost on this has steadily been dropping. So we're at 21.17, where normally it used to be at 22.5. So just something to kind of bear in mind. As you cast spells and your affinity goes up, you're going to get some small, basically mana cost decreases if you're casting that element. So, and you can spread your elemental affinity out across a few elements, but the more specialized that you are, the better mana cost that you're going to get. So we probably will be a little bit more specialized because there's a few particular spells that I kind of want to focus on as we get into the higher tiers. And the nice thing is having other casting mods like Elemental Craft means that we can get some of our utility from Elemental Craft and some of our utility then from Mana and Artifice and some of it from ours as well. So, and it allows us to kind of specialize within Mana and Artifice a little bit better while still having kind of the full utility of stuff. But if I was to cast an Earth spell right now, so for example, you know, I was to cast our basic collapse on something that I didn't mind if it collapsed. Let's do this. Oh, that actually leveled me. Eventually, you will find that our affinity, you'll see that our air affinity is decreasing at this point, and eventually we'll start getting a little bit of earth affinity. But, of course, it's going to take a long time to lose your affinity, especially once you get it up to 100%. Also worth noting is that as your affinity goes up, you can see Basic Collapse now costs more mana, almost costing 25 mana. And I think the default cost was only 22.5. So you're going to see other spells become more expensive. We've gained enough experience to advance in tier. You'll see other spells kind of start to become more expensive from other elemental types, but just kind of bear in mind that your mana does come back extremely fast within Mana and Artifice, which I do like. It makes it so that you can actually use spells as something useful, you know. It says advance by resting in a bed and meditating on what you have learned. So at this point, all we need to do is just sleep. Now, I don't know if we can sleep in a sleeping bag or not. That I'm not 100% sure about. I've never tried it. Oh, this spell's so bad at these early levels. It does get better, but at these early levels, Fling so bad. You've advanced to tier 2. Oh, you don't even have to sleep, apparently. Just as long as you touch a bed, it counts it. That's cool. And you can see, oh my gosh, like it's taking me quite a bit of cast of Fling at this point to actually get a level. Because at this point, we really need to move forward. in tiers and start using better stuff. So now if we take a look at the Oculus, we need to complete 11 of the 14 tasks to advance to the next tier. We need to add a modifier to a spell using Ritual of Alteration. We need to cast a tier 2 cantrip, craft a magic broom, a mana crystal fragment, a construct with at least 3 wood or stone parts, a spell with complexity 35 or more, an unfired rune plate, an elemental moat using one of the 6 moat rituals, have an active set bonus, make charcoal print of a scribed rune at the runic anvil, reach magic level 30, rune forge a rune, and rune scribe a rune pattern. So as you can see at tier 2, this is when the mod actually kind of starts to open up to us. We have a lot of different things that we can do, right? We can make golems, we can make brooms, which are used to collect items. We can start modifying spells. If we take a look inside of here now, you can see that we now have, instead of just touch and self, we have projectile, bound sword, bound axe, bound bow, bound shield, and then we also have leap, we have slow fall, we have frost damage, we have entangle, gravity well, transitory tile, activate, poison, and divination, and then in addition we have range, damage, speed, and delay. As well. So a lot of new things available to us, and we have gotten up to 250 total mana available to us now as well. So good stuff. Now at this point we are going to wrap up this episode here because I know it's about wrapping up point. So we kind of got through some of the basics, we tiered up, and then come next episode we're going to be doing this stuff on camera, so we will spend a couple episodes with Mana and Artifice, but it is a mod that I think everybody should be familiar with in 1.16 because I do foresee it being in probably every single pack because it is just such a good mod, and there's just so much you can actually do with it. You can do your item transports, you can do your your farming, you can do combat with like golems and stuff, like automatic mob killing systems. You can do spells and just absolute ton of things that you can do with this mod. So we will be covering this mod pretty heavily on camera, we'll go ahead and say so. But this is going to be something that we're going to use to replace rats, probably starting next episode as well. So, and a lot of stuff to delve into next episode because tier 2 is pretty much the point, I think, when the mod actually starts. Just hurry up and get past tier 1, get to tier 2, and then you can do all kinds of fun things. So, but anyways, with that, we're going to wrap up this episode here, and we'll get back into it come next episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure to hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.